Hey everyone, it's Alan Thornton here, President and CEO of St. John's Community Services. And with me today on Advocates for All is a very, very special guest, Jackie Dossey. Jackie, thank you so much for taking the time to come on Advocates for All and just share your connection with St. John's. But it's a really, really special connection because we've been honored to be able to support your son, Kobe, for a couple of years now, right?
You have 2 years this past April.
That's
so
incredible.
it's been quite a journey. So super grateful that St. John's is they've been instrumental in Kobe just developing and being as independent as he can.
So, and I love hearing that. That's what we hope for every person that we support. But when we were chatting a couple minutes ago, you said, I could talk about Kobe all day. He's just such a cool kid. So why don't you take a second, introduce us all to Kobe. Tell us a little bit about his story.
Oh gosh, let's see. Kobe's 21 now. He has a sister that's 11 months and 29 days older than him. So when Kobe was about 12 months, 16 months, I noticed that he wasn't hitting his milestones like his sister did just a year before. And so when we finally, got the diagnosis of Kobe having autism and some sensory integration dysfunction, and obviously that, runs parallel with a learning disability, I left my career as a respiratory therapist and worked off of my other degree in management and went into the world of developmental and intellectual disabilities. And so my mission was just to stay in that field and stay abreast of opportunities for Kobe. So my pay was cut in half, but the blessings were just through the roof. So I feel like a millionaire in that area. But Kobe, was always in school in special ed, but then, he had some inclusion classes. And so there's just not a lot of talk on transitioning from that age of, young adulthood into going out into the world, into independent, any type of semi-independent living or supported living. And so when I had mentioned that I had left the medical field, I went to work as a support coordinator, an independent support coordinator in Tennessee. And so I got to be the middle person between the state of Tennessee and providers. And so I got to kind of be the host of the show and write the support plan and have a whole team of people to, for each individual and pull information, from everybody on the circle of support and write a good plan to, help the individual. And so I had the privilege of getting to work with a lot of different providers. And so I was, kind of in the field, and I would have to have those uncomfortable conversations with parents saying, you would have, say, an elderly couple, and they had their 50-year-old child that's still living with them, and they really didn't think about, well, what if something happens to me in the event of a health issue or sudden death? And nobody likes to talk about those unpleasant things, but they are, part of reality. And so I would have to have those uncomfortable conversations. And I guess in my mind, I thought, well, myself and Kobe's father, we divorced when he was younger, but we always had joint custody of Kobe. And it's kind of like we both wanted him all the time, but, you couldn't, split him in half. But he was, we had a pretty good balance going between both homes, and Kobe's always been, supported. So, anyways, in having those conversations with parents, I came down with something in 2016 called vestibular neuritis. And if you've ever heard of vertigo, makes like the room is spinning. In the medical field, I had never heard of vestibular neuritis, but I was actually in the car with Kobe. It was just he and myself, and we were driving down the road, and I felt this sudden vertigo come on, and I looked at Kobe. We were about to go out to eat, and I said, Kobe, we're going to have to turn around and go home, so because Mom doesn't feel well. And long story short, it really put me flat on my back, and I had to go to physical therapy to retrain my brain out of balance and walk. And so when you can't really take care of yourself, obviously it's hard to take care of your son, that needs lots of assistance. So the conversation that I had had with so many parents and caregivers about their child, I kind of had to have it with myself. And Kobe's father had a health issue that could be very serious. So we reached out for, Kobe had been on the waiting list for years to get into any type of services. And so with me being sick, that pushed him into what's called like an emergency status of some sort like that. And so we got into the ECF waiver and started having, somebody come to the home. And so Kobe wrote one day, he writes with hand-over-hand assistance. And when he saw sister, who's just a year older than him, go off to college, after, he finished his senior year of school, he wrote down, well, when is it my turn? And I kind of thought, well, Kobe, and then I thought to myself, I'm the one that fosters independence with people for a living, but, that brought it all home, so we applied to see if Kobe, could be a candidate to transition into community living, supported living, whichever one you want to call it. He got accepted. And so me having the background and what I did for a living, I laid it all out there, just like if he were on my caseload, about there's all kinds of providers.
You had been introduced to a lot of different providers in the course of your work. And it's so interesting to me that you've got obviously this depth of knowledge about disability services. And you've probably seen a lot of different providers and seen a lot of different situations with parents trying to navigate how do they select a provider and where do they land for services and support. I have a sense you're heading towards talking about how you found St. John's in Martin. Is that correct?
I have worked with St. John's out of the Memphis, Tennessee office. I've worked Jackson, Tennessee, and then I had worked with the Martin office. And so overall in my career, I had probably transitioned about 10 people in from one provider, and they had chosen St. John's, and their lives really transformed. I mean, I can't even begin to tell you how the 10 individuals, after transitioning them, the difference in their life that St. John's, they were just so invested in their individuals and very person-centered, and I just couldn't speak, enough kind things about them. So I had worked with the Martin group pretty close for the past couple of years, and I wasn't really excited when I found out as a professional that I'd worked mainly in the Jackson area, and I was just so used to that area. And they said, we're going to pick up some people at Martin. And I thought, well, change is always good. Let's just go check out and see, St. John's and Martin and see what's going on. Well-oiled machine. I mean, there's not enough time left in the day to tell you how. The unique thing about the Martin St. John's office is most of the admin, they worked there when they were in college and they've never left. And they're all kind of my age, and that's not the norm most of the time. You see a lot of turnover with different providers with the admin. So they're just great people. So Kobe, we went and looked at a couple of other providers with some homes that had individuals with similar disabilities and the same age. And I think we made it 3 minutes in one home. And Kobe had just grabbed my hand. We'd already visited a potential home in Martin, and Kobe really liked, the home. We'd had a couple of pizza parties, meet and greets. So he was just the other homes that I just wanted to give him a fair shot, to see if he wanted to. He didn't want any part of it. He wrote, I want to live in Martin. So we transitioned there April 17th of 2018. And so that was a really hard thing to do. Kobe's nonverbal. So, but he didn't it didn't miss a beat. When I dropped him off, the staff, admin, everybody it was a beautiful transition. I felt like it was really mindful and just, it went really well.
Well, the Martin crew, they are just a well-oiled machine, and they have such hearts for the people that they support. I've visited Martin multiple times. It's such a great little town. And our team there just really, they just care so much for each individual that is in their care, that they support. And it's really, their heart is to see people live life to their fullest ability. Now, Kobe's had some interesting journey along the way because, as you said earlier, he's nonverbal. And so communication has been a point of focus in terms of his development, right? And recently, he's been working with his therapist remotely, if I recall correctly, using his iPad, I believe, and FaceTime. And he's continued to be able to essentially develop his own decision making in terms of when he wants to communicate too, right? And you got a surprise call just recently, if I remember the story correctly.
I'm getting several calls on a daily basis. So I don't think Kobe had several communication devices, back when he was in school, and they were just big and cumbersome and just bulky, and he just wasn't interested, and he would rather give you an ink pen and you help him, write out what he wanted to say. So with the support of the St. John staff, he's gotten his iPad, and I took him to a couple of sessions, and then staff has taken him to a couple of sessions, and then the whole COVID thing hit. So that we had to adjust to this new normal. But the staff have been awesome with him and helping him learn to use it. And so, our visits have been a little restricted. Obviously, everybody's a little restricted at this point. But so everybody had kept telling me, including the speech therapist, Jackie, he's making progress, just mounds of progress. And so my phone went off one day, and it just said Kobe's iPad. And usually I will call the house and say, talk to whoever staff and say, is Kobe available, so I can chat with him for a minute. And when I hit the button, it was him, and he just busted out laughing. And I just busted out laughing because we were just so tickled to see each other. And then he's been doing it a couple of times a day just to, and I know you're thinking, some people may think, well, how do you have a conversation with your nonverbal son? But there's quite a bit of dialogue, I feel like, between us. So, but the staff is what I can't say enough about. They've been great.
And I think a couple of things that I just want to pull out there. One is St. John's commitment to using technology, but that it's not just about efficiency or convenience, it's empowering. It has given Kobe a whole new level of independence and control over who he wants to talk to and when he wants to talk, right? So that's huge. And for people that may not work in disability services or may not understand the freedom that creates for an individual, it's really life-changing. And so it is a huge deal that now he's in a point where he's got the right tool, he knows how to use it well, and he's able to exercise his decisions about, hey, I want to call mom, I want to talk to mom. Everybody should have that opportunity, and so it's tremendous. It was when we all heard that happen. Your story's been getting circulated all throughout St. John's in all the different states, and it's one of those things that creates shivers for people because it's the use of the technology to create a breakthrough opportunity for someone that we support, and it's something that we're really, really celebrating right now.
Well, I love it. He's 21, so just like any other 21-year-old, I feel like he's trying to flex his muscles. He's got some strong opinions, and he wants to share them. So, we communicate when he's in person with me using the iPad. But just to know that during this time where we're all having to, distance from each other, just being able to see his face, I think I can't say enough about that. And it's taken the whole team, Alan, to I've worked with providers before, that don't really push for people to be their fullest potential. I've seen that professionally. So St. John's has just done a great job with making sure that, okay, everybody has these restrictions now, but we're still going to do speech therapy. We're going to do it remotely. We're getting this done, making sure that everybody's on the same page and trained and able to do it. And just the Martin group in general. They are so invested in all of their individuals. Cherry Webb, Dwayne Webb, Wendy Bratton, the whole group. They're just phenomenal people, and I'm so glad that they're invested in Kobe. And just sometimes for kicks and giggles over the past couple of years when Kobe's home, I'll ask him, like, I always say, are you happy? Everything going okay? And he always writes, yes, I'm happy. And then I always say, do you want to move back home with mom? And the first time I asked him, he wrote, no way. So it's kind of funny when when I have him for a visit and then I take him back home. Home is Martin. And so when we pull in the driveway, I don't even have the car in park, and his hand is on the door like, okay, it's been a good talk, So he loves it there, and I'm thankful for St. John's for all that they do for Kobe.
Well, we are thankful to you for entrusting his support with us. And I echo everything you're saying about Cherry and Dwayne and that whole crew down there. They're just incredible. And we truly do celebrate Kobe's achievements, because he's really a fulfillment of our mission, that we exist to see these kind of opportunities, and these young men and women have opportunity to live life to their fullest. And so just again, thank you so much for taking the time today. And thank you for your support of Kobe, obviously, and your support of St. John's throughout our time with him. And we look forward to many more breakthroughs to come.
Thank you. I'm excited. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Take care.